Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode. Today we'll be talking about the latest leaks and kit reveal drops in Limbus Company. Today we'll be also talking about the new BokGak event, which is the Permanent Refraction Railway 1, making its return after its long ago event proceedings. First, we're going to talk about the new Heishou packs, Don Quixote and Heathcliff. Starting with Don Quixote, we have a 2-coin Lust Skill 1, a 3-coin Gluttony Skill 2, and a Gloom Skill 3 with 4 coins, and a Clashable Defense that is also Gluttony. Starting off, pretty simple on the resonance affinities. Let's start with skill 1. Has a conditional for more damage if the target has a unique status called Shatter Mark. She also has a self-sufficient coin power conditional with rupture or sinking on target. She inflicts 1 rupture count, so that's 0 so far, right? And then 1 more rupture. Right here alone, neutral. Neutral skill right here. Cancels it out, no positives. Well, actually, it wouldn't be neutral, it'd be -1, I'm pretty sure, because when you inflict count, it remains at 0, and then there's no additional count until we see the full reveal. Meaning, as of right now, that is a -1 skill. So skill 1 is probably not super good on the priority list for usage. We see that once again with skill 2. And then our simple coin power conditional with rupture and sinking on target. Now, here's a interesting change. The last coin can become an unbreakable coin if you have Burgeoning of Horns. Or is it Burgeoning of Horns? We'll find out on my own time. And on top of it, the last one will deal more damage based on how many stacks you have of it. So, it's a stack-based conditional, so kind of like a unique charge, though it's not charge. Remember, not charge. Inflicts rupture count, so that's neutral. -1, because then sinking on coin 2. And our rupture, -2. But, in return for going negative in rupture, it will, once it has the stack, which you most likely will be using the coin with the stack, you'll deal additional slash damage with a percentage of the coin's final damage based on your horn stack. Really good. Extra damage, really good. I think that's a pretty fair trade-off. Now, skill 3. Now, just like other Heishou identities that don't have a Adepti or Adept, she's on Adept, therefore she does not have an enhanced skill 3 conditional. All she will have is a gain coin power conditional and the ability to turn her coins all into unbreakable if once again she has her own conditional status effect, which is the Burgeoning of Horns. Now, of course, otherwise, on use, you gain it, following a similar path with other Heishou identities, where on skill 3, it will automatically give you their conditional value post-turn. It'll inflict on coin 2, so coin 1 RA, that's -1, then it will go to keeps the same because that's 0 because it counters out on skill 2. So stays at -1. Then goes to -2. And then I think the unique part is it will deal more damage based on the panic type. Deals more slash damage to equal to X% of the final coin damage if they have Shatter Mark, similar to what skill 2 does. Right? Except instead of the Burgeoning Horn stack, it's based on the Shatter Mark. And then on top of that, we'll then re-afflict Shatter Mark next turn. And then if it has a panic type that does change from Shatter Mark, I'm assuming, it will then inflict more sinking count. So as of right now, it looks like she does fare better as a sinking identity than a rupture identity. Don't think she really replaces a team comp yet, though she definitely sounds like she'd be a fun ID to play around with nonetheless. Now let's talk about her defense skill. Her defense skill, once again, reviewing, is a Gluttony, which is perfect because in most cases on turn 1 with Heishou identities, you will be using a lot of defense skills to get their status conditional up, so you can use their stronger versions of their skills later on. Unfortunately, instead of following the trend of most Heishou identities, where they have a way to make something go neutral with their counter, she does not, instead inflicting herself with a -2 count, as you see right here. Now, let's talk about the passives. Passives are like the bread and butter of a character, and see how much more fun and what unique ways you can get away with them. So, upon Exalted Command, which is from Lord Hongyun Honglu, upon usage of his skill 3, you will give Honglu the ability to inflict sinking upon rupture potency or count with his skills, which I think actually is pretty useful content-wise. Probably not mirror dungeon-wise for a lot of people, but I think in normal Kantos and intervalos, I think that is a very useful thing, because most bosses you'll fight have conditionals where if you put them in their negative sanity, they either lose clashes or they inflict a self-harm effect upon themselves. So Honglu, who quite frankly has one of the highest speed caps right now, is really, really good to be able to get that. Just that extra edge in battle. On this turn, this unit is substituted or returned on the field, gain a Burgeoning of Horns. Once again, similar to other Heishous where they will automatically get their Strider effect upon entering the battle. That's really useful, of course, because that allows you to immediately, with how substitution works with Honglu, that skill 3 is going to be in its empowered state. Meaning you'll do more damage and it will be unbreakable, even though in most cases I'm pretty sure that skill 3s are unopposed automatically. But that is a really good niche conditional you can get away with rotating out your Heishous. Now let's talk about her, actual passive, the one that you gotta fill up the gauge for. Explosive Battering Ram. Deal target's SP divided by X % more damage against targets at less than 0 sanity. That's pretty good, because it sounds like we're going down the route of having sanity characters deal more damage on lower sanity characters. I'm glad we're bringing that back. Kind of similar to Hanafuda Ishmael in that regard, with more sanity damage. Then we have a Narc conditional. Deal more damage for every X rupture or sinking on target. And it will strengthen this effect and its max value against targets without SP, making her really good against abnormalities, as abnormalities don't have sanity. Really good. That is a really good conditional. You're going to get so much more benefit of extra damage out of her other skills by just rotating her in. That is what the idea I'm getting that they want. They want you to backline her and then rotate her in using Honglu. Now, here's some other ones. If this unit has Burgeoning of Horns, the last coin of this unit's base skills deal more damage. So, now on top of that, now the final coins of skill 3, skill 2, skill 1 are going to hurt a lot more now, which is really, really good. Once again, I think mirror dungeon wise, that just makes skill 3, skill 2 just hit like a truck. Unironically, it's like getting hit by a goat or a ram. Get launched right up in the sky. That's gotta hurt. Now, when attacking skill slots equipped with a defense skill, deal even more damage with its last coin. Even better, it's encouraging you to unoppose and attack the guards. I think this is the first Heishou we see where it encourages you to attack the guard. The last ID I can recall that had a similar mechanic was Heishou Heathcliff, which encouraged you to attack someone's guard. Really good. That's really good. When clashing with the clashable guard skill, also gain clash power. So this just reinforces the idea that you want her to go in and attack the defense and then leave. Beautiful. Now let's talk about something fun. Let's talk about mirror dungeon wise, because that's what the support passive and how it's going to be playing as well with in game. A lot of people are going to be looking at support passive to see, okay, is it worth the running? Because you're going to be running her anyway with the Heishou. But let's talk about like solo runs. Ally with the fastest speed on hit with base attack skills against enemies with rupture count or sinking count inflicts defense level down. Well, automatically, I'm going to tell you right now, with the rupture count, that's perfect because it just encourages you to stack as many utilities on the enemy as possible during normal Kanto or Intervallo fights. And then Mirror Dungeon, that's just perfect because who doesn't want to inflict defense level downs? I mean, it basically bullies anyone that tries to evade or block or defend. Really good. Now, talking about the unique statuses she has. We'll get to Shadow Mark in a moment. Let's talk about her self-conditional. Burgeoning of Horns. This unit's base skills inflict more rupture potency and sinking potency, and then reduces the stack at turn end. I think, based on how so far all the different Heishou packs have their own unique form of it, I think it is good we have something that inflicts more rupture potency. The Mao branches were a lot better at inflicting count and keeping it count positive. I think that was really good of them. What we really needed is a inner piece in between the C branch and the Mao branch. The C branch took too much startup time, honestly, to get potency and count stacks on. But with this, I think for the shorter time she's on the field, that you'd be rotating her in and out, you're going to be getting more potency up. Now, of course, we're not going to know this until Wednesday, which I will gladly do an updated review on Wednesday of the actual characters. But as of right now, that is what seemingly looks like the correct conditionals that we can get with Don Quixote. Now on to Heathcliff. With Heathcliff, the new U branch Adept, one would first think he's supposed to be in the evolution of the Sinclair U branch that we got recently, which I think, based on the trailer that we all watched, is a pretty good guess. Starting with the overview, we have a Skill 1 Envy with 3 coins, a Gluttony Skill 2 with 3 coins, and then following the same trend as Sinclair, a Wrath Skill 3 with 4 coins. And then a Skill 3-2 Wrath with 4 Unbreakable coins and a Gluttony 2-coined Clashable Guard. Let's get into it. With this Skill 1, he follows a similar path with gaining coin power for Burn and Rupture. Now here's where it changes now. He now has the ability to gain Clash Power for Burn on Self, which makes this I think this is like the second ID that has a self-infliction burn status. First one being, of course, back when we got Ardor Blossom Faust from the LCB checkup event. Upon Clash Start, which is a very unique one, we rarely see Clash Start, he will automatically inflict burn and burn count to the target and self. Meaning, this is, for in other terms, he and the opponent, during the clash, will both experience burn. Then, oh man, here comes the hard part here. First coin will do nothing. Coin 2 will inflict Rupture, so alright, we're already down 2 count for Rupture. You shouldn't really worry about Burn. Burn is very easy to keep up with, since there's not anything to really collapse it currently, besides Magic Bullet doing more for Burn. But for Rupture, which is the main aspect with the Heishou branches, we are currently seeing a -2 Rupture count coin. And technically, it could be -3 if you don't roll heads on that third coin. That is a really messed up conditional. I can't believe Kim Ji-hoon thought this was okay. I mean, it balances it out. Adepts are typically very strong setting IDs for the season. They've been very heavy hitter after heavy hitter. But so, if the utmost positive route is a -2 skill count coin, which I think is fair. I mean, it's an Adept, and based on how the U branch works from what we saw, once again, you are trying to rotate him in and then get him out. He's trying to inflict as much as possible and get out. Skill 2. If target has, X plus burn plus rupture, you gain coin power, same shtick. Same idea on how to get his basic conditionals. Once again, on clash start, applies more burn and more burn count to the target itself. Now, I think this is very important to mention, since burn count works typically to like a turn end, like poison sass effect, where at turn end you'll take the tick damage for it. The main aspect here is the low burn count shouldn't probably be the issue, but you probably want to make sure he keeps a high enough burn. As I won't lie, I was looking at this kit beforehand before talking about it. It sounds like those conditionals later on really want him to stack as much low HP and burn as possible on himself. Going into it, coin 1 that puts us -1. Additional burn count though on the enemy, really nice, very good. -2, once again, but it can become -1 if roll heads on coin 2. So you can right side -1, and then it goes right back down to -2 or -3. Now, some things to note about is, once again, Blood Flame makes a reappearance for this Heishou pack. It has only 2 requirements to get a reuse. You just need to get a heads hit and have Blood Flame, or less than a certain amount of HP, and it will automatically reuse that coin, which is really good because, as you see right here, based on how much percentage of burn you have on yourself times a multiplier, will be dealt as wrath damage on that final coin. Now, there is a case where it could be not useful. As we just talked about, that would put that coin at -4 count. This thing will eat count like there's no tomorrow. Really messed up for Rupture. Rupture is a fun stat effect. It is the main stat effect of the season, which is why I am so harsh about it. But I think we're going to see some redeeming qualities with seeing Skill 3 and Skill 3-2. Here we go. Blood Flame Massacre, which is Skill 3, is an unfocused volley, meaning it's got similar effects to the C branch and the Sinclair from the U branch. And if you don't have either of those, it's also similar to the R Corp's unfocused volley attacks, where it will attack multiple targets at once, but you will not know in which order it goes in, basically. You'll know the main target, but you won't know in which order the other 2 targets that it attacks. That's assuming that's how many unfocused volley stacks it has on it. You can deal more damage for every X burn on self, which is, of course, a really easy conditional to get. Who doesn't like doing more damage, especially in normal scenarios of fights. Combat start. So before you clash, if you have Blood Flame or you have a less amount of HP, it will become unbreakable coins, which is nice, because now you don't need to completely rely on Skill 3-2 to become unbreakable. Very nice. Now, let's talk about how you get to Skill 3-2. Battle Blood Instinct. It'll then activate the skill 3-2. Now, following like every other Heishou pack, on usage of skill 3, you gain the unique stats effect, Blood Flame. You'll also gain the coin power based on how much burn and rupture is on the target. Most likely it's going to be burn based on these new IDs. It's going to be probably burn and their other unique effects. And then you also gain clash power for, missing HP on self. Then after attack, you gain additional burn count on yourself. So encouraging that you keep up the good work. Now, when you apply burn to target and self, if you get heads hit, you'll also, if you have a high enough HP threshold, you'll take burn damage by the burn potency on self. And then, it goes on and on with the same thing, alright? Hella bad coin, -1, -2, -3, alright? But it's okay. Because the fourth coin, all it requires is on hit, so it will only be a -3 down on count. So later in fights when you start rotating in characters and you're trying to finish off the opponent, so you're trying to burst them down, you can afford to lose that -3 count when sending them in automatically, because on hit, it will also, based on burn on self and burn on the main target, it will also do a % gluttony damage against all targets. Now, against all targets, not just the main one you're focusing on the unfocused volley. All of the targets being targeted will take that damage. Really good. Love it. Now, let's talk about skill 3-2, which is the Rooster's Rampaging of Blades under the Insanguined Heaven. Ooh, that's a hard title. That's a hard-ass title right there. Fireline. Once again, unfocused volley, and it's a wrath skill. 4 unbreakable coins by default. Now, once again, deals more damage based on burn on self, deals more damage based on percent HP missing on yourself and on target. So kind of like a last stand, like a last breath. Like one of those old samurai films where it's a last stand, or you're both rolled the one shot, so you pull out your finisher move, basically. On use, similar to skill -3, you gain Blood Flame. You also gain coin power based on the burn and rupture on the main target, and then % missing HP on self. Now, here's where it changes. On Clash Win, you gain burn, so ups the burn potency. And then after the attack, you'll consume all Battle Blood Instinct, I will assume, because it just says consume, so it may be a certain amount of stacks, or it consumes all of it. After attack, you also, at more than X burn, consume up to Y excess burn, and heal your HP back by a multiplier. So it is self-sufficient for him to take damage. I know you guys were a little worried at the start, but he has self-sufficiency to bring back his HP to a certain conditional. Coin 1, neutral, 0. Coin 2 puts him at -1. Coin 3, -2. Coin 4 puts him at -3 or -4 on reuse. Now, here comes the fun thing when we look at coin 4, because it has all the extra funny stuff that the U branch does. If it has a target has enough burn, or if you have less than a certain amount of HP, it'll reuse the coin. Now, it doesn't say this, but without even the reuse, you also deal wrath damage to all targets. And then on the fun part, on reuse, you'll do wrath damage again, and if it was the final coin, heal HP equal to the damage it dealt. Which means, likewise, he will take damage, heal himself, and possibly, based on how well and how much conditionals you fulfill during your battle, instantly go from low HP back to max, and just restart the process. It's like a gauged power-up. You're spamming skill 3, skill 2, skill 1s, right? Stack enough burn, get yourself low enough for your conditionals, and then when you get enough Battle Blood Instinct, boom, you're going into skill 3-2 and you're attacking. Now, Clashable Guard. Looks good, following the same as all other Heishou packs, that being when used, you get their status effect, which is Blood Flame, Then you gain base power based on how much the target has. And then if you also have Blood Flame before this, you gain additional coin power. Now, here's the unique part. You'll do more damage for every percent of HP that has been cumulatively lost during the encounter, which is a little different, but that just encourages that you can use his defense to get off more easy. That being, it will only put you into a -1 deficit when using the defense skill. So it's encouraging you that you can play a little passive with him while you're building up his other conditionals and not eat at rupture count by just existing on the field. So, you know, after you do your setup here to get yourself into skill 3-2, after you use skill 3-2, it encourages that you can use the defense skill because it will remember how much HP you've lost during the encounter entirely. Really good. That's a really good thing to get away with. Now we're going to go and talk about its passives and how it plays back into them. As you see, with his passive list, we start with the same thing, Exalted Command. Now, here comes this being an interesting one for to think about when now you're rotating your Heishous around and who gets priority. He gives Honolulu the ability that with base attacks, it will deal a percentage of gluttony damage as wrath damage. Now, of course, his own unique conditional, he will not be staggered or fall below 1 HP due to burn damage, basically meaning you keep winning clashes, you'll never die. He will never refutably let himself die. He will also give himself burn count and blood flame when he gets substituted or returned in, which is really nice because it means, going back on the other page, you don't need to be super concerned with all the extra conditionals that he needs to fulfill. Now let's talk about his legit passives here. In this encounter, when this unit takes damage that brings their HP down to 0, it nullifies that damage and then it cannot drop below 1 for the turn. That's so free. Think about it similar to Ardor Blossom Fast or Blade Lineage Mentor Mersal. You get a freebie for that turn if you fail a clash, basically, when it brings you down to 0 HP. You get a freebie. Then, here's where it changes slightly. He will then heal based on X plus burn on self percent of HP, and then remove all burn. So if you do mess up, or if he messes up, he will send himself back basically down to stage 1 of regaining all his conditionals. In return, he does heal, and you can keep him on the field or sub him out. Now, his own passives contain of gaining offense level up and defense level up for missing HP on self. So, you know, Warriors for Spite, you know, fight for your life on the line, you know, struggling. And then when he gains Battle Blood, it's simple. Every time he has a clash start, or when you hit someone with a base attack skill, or when you take burn damage. If you have a certain amount of HP, you gain additional Battle Blood Instinct. Now, if you want to be cheesy, if you put him through on kills, if you know some during like chain battles, if you see people are getting close to death, if you use Honglu's counter to on kill and pull him in to use his skill 3, where he targets multiple targets at once, I think that would be his best case scenario on getting enough Battle Blood Instinct upon the second turn he's in. Support passive. If an ally with the lowest current HP percentage has less than a certain amount of percent of HP, gained a free clash power up. Now that is a crazy support passive, especially for the Heishous, because you're going to have it most likely backlogged. So seeing that alone is a crazy thing to comprehend. Because it now means your Heishous can have an exterior improvement in their clashes. Even though most of them clash really well, this just means more safer evasives and switching people out. Now the actual stats effect that he applies upon himself is Battle Blood Instinct. You know, for every X stack, deal more damage. So a bootleg damage up where then when you reach a certain amount of stacks, you also get haste on top of that. So he becomes a speed demon, and then he has his own version of damage up. Next, we're going to talk about the upcoming BokGak event that is also coming with this character extraction event. As you see, November 20th, new content. will be the Refraction Railway Line 1 BokGak. It will be a permanent event, it will never go away. Only conditional is you clear the current up-to-date main story, which is 8-33. So you don't need to worry about the intervallo if you haven't done the intervallo, just you need to be up to date with the latest kanto, because you're going to need up to 4 units and level 55 units as well. Very simple, don't overthink it. As it describes, it will be composed of 13 total stations, and it will be, highest difficulty in encounters, but honestly it probably won't be super hard. You'll get the same usual rewards you get from Refraction Railway, which we'll show in a moment. And it will not remember any of your previous runs. Here's what the railway will look like. You can't see it, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., etc. It's a one-way line, so you will not be doing many crazy stuff during it. Now, you don't need to spend resources to access the line, similar to Refraction Railway 5. You don't need to do that in any other ones. You'll only need to spend resources if you claim for the first time at the Lost and Found. Now, something that they do include is upon entry, you'll be doing a loadout of identities. And the only new thing, as I just said, is you can change them in the middle of your run. Any changes such as level changes, uptides, and threat spinning made to the currently deployed units will be reflected in your current run. So, say if an ego isn't working because you don't have an uptide, you can uptie it, or if a character isn't strong enough because you haven't used your threat spin to uptie it, right? It now reflects during the run. Once again, you're given the conditionals that you should be, maxed out up to your uptie level 4, threat spin tier 4, and level 55. Like I just talked about. Here, there are a little bit of spoilers on it, but line 1's been around. If you want to look, I recommend looking at some old videos about people doing the old line 1. But as they will explain here, the big change here we'll see is each station. So as you see, the G Corp manager right here, upon clearing, you'll now recover HP. Dead centers will be revived. And the SP values from those dead centers will be remembered and retained upon being revived. Meaning you can basically run a full Mach-Way. It will also be using the chain battle system, which is what majority of the game runs on. Those grunts you were fighting, right? Deployed units take after the other ones, and then it's whoever's deployed first gets the second skill, and then the next one, and the next, chain battle. Easy peasy. Good thing to remember. Now, since it is BokGak 1, you are going to be limited to 5 units, and then 7 units in backup. So this is more focused in the way that, for those who are finishing Kanto 8, right, you're used to the 7 character lineup. And a lot of those characters make each other up. I would encourage you, when you're doing this, to consider lineups that work more closer. So more core members of your lineup should be more prioritized, I would just say. For example, for like Blood Fiends, do consider who are more important in the lineup. Same thing with Heishous and other identities. Now, I will admit, because of how BokGaks are usually, we're probably going to see that these characters are also going to have unbreakable coins. And certain characters, the frog, suck. No one likes that toad. No one likes it. No one likes that blue toad, and if it has unbreakable coins, I'm going to cry. Just like many other people. So those are just some things to consider about when doing it. Now, here's the thing, of course. The new buff is when an ally identity dies. Alright, it'll give ego resources that correspond with the sin affinities and rank. So, you'll get 1, 2, 3 for, whichever one. You can, combat progression, the same thing. You can reset the stage, and put you at the first wave when you re-attempt it. And then you can, going with the similar thing with how they set up in mirror dungeons now, where you can choose whether to just accept the results, restart, all the same things, right? You can change your deployment order or merely retry. Now, if you start from the previous cleared station, you also have that. Now, if you now another additional, this is a very niche one in case you mess up. All right, I remember my first time doing a railway. I went to 116 churns upon finally completing it, and then it took me like 3-4 runs to get it down to get a good amount of time on it. Don't be afraid. But if reaching 100 churns in a singular station out of the 13 stations will count as a defeat. As you see, there's that stupid toad I hate. No one likes this toad. Why are they giving it 3k HP? Now, this time they are being fair. You will have access to all observation logs and be able to make any strategy out of it. So that's really nice, really good. Now, here's the clear information so you can see the statistics in detail on who's doing, the work. Basic stuff. Then here's how you can see your record, right? Which is given upon when you complete the entire terminus. You can check the details to look at it. Now, let's talk about the fun stuff. That was the hard part, talking about why you should do it, right? As you see here, lost and found. Favorite stuff, same thing with all other previous refraction railways. And if you're new to the game, don't worry, the current refraction railway, Railway 5, is not going away with this one. It will be staying probably until next season, most likely. As they have a habit of letting the previous season's railway continue a little bit longer. No, this railway, Railway 5, was from last season, so it might be ending with the upcoming season. So take your time, don't think too much about it, but it is not going away and you shouldn't need to stress about getting it done in this one sitting. With the lost and found, you're going to be rewarded up to, I believe, if we take a look-see here, oh, there we go. 30, 40, so that's 70, 100, 140 blue tickets. For instance, it takes from level 1 to 55 about 59 tickets, I believe, 59 to like 69 tickets, around that range. So that's easily 2 free identities you can level up with no issue. 200 thread, and then from what it looks like, 30 extraction. These must be 10. I believe those are 10 pull tickets. So that's 30 pulls for anything you want. And then they confirm that this is a automatic up tie. So that's really good. Yeah, take off a module ID. And then a season 1 3-star guaranteed the extraction ticket, which I think is a joke. Most people probably have some, but for collectors that is really nice. It's always nice to get hands on a good ticket, right? And then cosmetic banner as well will be granted upon completion as well. That is all related to Limbus Company news in the upcoming update.